most vulnerable. Here at the Urban League of Metropolitan Seattle, we'll be temporarily adjusting our hours of operation and available services. If you are in need of resources, we recommend that you give us a call at 206-461-3792. To make an appointment, press 0 and speak with the receptionist. Walk-in hours will be from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday through Friday. And hey, we'll gladly work with you via phone as best as we can if you're exhibiting any signs of illness to assist you with information to save your home, find you a place to sleep, or connect you to job opportunities. The Urban League of Metropolitan Seattle. That's 206-461-3792.
This is your Rainier Avenue Radio.World community update on Seattle City Lights Utility Discount Program application. If you are impacted by COVID-19, otherwise known as the coronavirus, access the utility discount application online at seattle.gov/UDP for utility discount program, or call 206-684-3000. That's seattle.gov/UDP or 206-684-3000.
Sergio LaCour's Love Lines. It's on Rainier Avenue Radio.World. Thursday nights at midnight Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific. Music and dedications for the grown and sexy.
This is the news on Rainier Avenue Radio.
The Brooklyn Nets have agreed to acquire three-time scoring champion James Harden from the Houston Rockets, a deal that reunites him with Kevin Durant and gives him the move that he has sought for weeks, said a person with knowledge of the situation. Harden is going to the Nets as part of a 14 deal that also involves Indiana and Cleveland, according to the person who spoke to the Associated Press on condition of anonymity. It was obvious the end was nearing when the Rockets told him they didn't want him at practice after his inflammatory comments about the team. The Rockets are just 3-6 so far this season, and only Minnesota has a worse record in the Western Conference. The team is clearly in disarray, and new arrival John Wall called the situation rocky.
And that's your news on Rainier Avenue Radio.
Rainier Avenue Radio.World is your 24/7 digital media hub. Tune in at Rainier Avenue Radio.World. Also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and TuneIn apps.
Yes, indeed. It is that time once again. Monday Night Sports on Rainier Avenue Radio. I am Rick DuPree, Dupe, and hope you are looking forward to what we have tonight and hope you've had a good weekend. If you're a sports fan, especially if you're a football fan, a lot to talk about. And we should be joined by the big guy, Edwin Bailey. There he is as we speak. Gotta love that, man. The timing is impeccable. Got the TW hat on. What's up, big fella?
Hey. And that stands for Woodville Tompkins.
Okay, all right. Hey, man, it's your world, baby. I'm standing behind you. You leading the way. So whatever you say goes, okay?
Hey, you good to go, Rick. You good to go.
Hey, we got a lot to talk about. So before we get to the football playoffs, which is where I really want to get your take on some of these games, and we'll show some of the highlights when we're talking about them. But man, I'm a huge basketball fan, and we just heard it in the news update right before the show started. The big trade, James Harden going from Houston to Brooklyn, and a couple of things about that, man. And it's just interesting. People get upset a lot of times. They say, "Well, these players complaining, this and that and the other." Man, and I don't know about you, but all power to the players. These franchises. I mean, players are products, and as long as the player is productive, they're in good standing. And as soon as, a franchise feels like a player is not productive, they're on their way out. And if they can get somebody younger and cheaper in there, they're going to do it. And so the fact that the guys now have more control with free agency and they can dictate some things. Now granted, I certainly don't want you to go in and tank it. And I don't think Harden was, but it certainly got toxic down in Houston. But man, I tell you what, he showed out in that first game. Okay, and go ahead.
It was time. It was time for him to leave, Rick.
Yeah,
and most of the people that's bitter and got a whole lot of conversation are people that possibly never played a down of athletics in their life.
Amen.
And my thing of it is, Rick, and this is my approach, family included.
Mm-hmm.
Man, if you ain't never played in the National Football League, I ain't gonna debate with you about the National Football League.
Yeah, exactly. You make a good point, Edwin. You don't know what it's like. We're seeing the highlights now. This is the first game, Saturday. The Brooklyn, they beat Orlando 122-115. But Edwin, his numbers, crazy numbers: triple-double, 32 points, 14 rebounds, 12 assists, and he said. I hope you can tell by my smile. And I think it was 14 assists and 12 rebounds. Anyway, regardless, triple double. He said, I hope you can tell by my smile and my play. Just excited for the opportunity. This is an unbelievable organization from top to bottom. For me, all I have to do now is go out and be the best James Harden I can be, and good things will happen. And man, I tell you, they're playing right now. I was watching it right before we went on the air, but they see that step back 3-pointer. A lot of people don't know this. So Harden, went to ASU, and he's reunited with Kevin Durant and also Jeff Green. So if people think back to the Sonics final season here, and you had Ray Allen was traded. I mean, I'll never forget this, Edwin. It was draft day, and leading up to draft day, Ray Allen told me, he said, Rick, yeah, man, I'm hearing rumors I'm gonna get traded. I'm like, Ray, man, you're the franchise. You ain't going nowhere. And draft day, they traded him. And man, I got a call. It was Ray. Ray said, what'd I tell you? And so they got the picks. And so the Sonics brought in Kevin Durant and Jeff Green. Right. And so now those two guys, so that first year here, their rookie year rather, the last year here in Seattle, they were here together. And then they moved to OKC, and OKC obviously brought in Russell Westbrook. They brought in James Harden, but now you've got kind of the reuniting of Harden and Kevin Durant in particular. Man, I'm excited. Edwin, I'm telling you, man, in the East now, Brooklyn is going to be tough to beat. I mean, Milwaukee obviously, is the reigning Eastern Conference champion. But
right.
I tell you what,
Rick, they think. Growing up on the East Coast, on the Southeast Coast, there's that. Mm-hmm. They thought that basketball was founded right in downtown New York.
Yeah.
They actually believe that now. And they get a basketball squad down in there. They're going to be crazy.
Oh man, yeah. I tell you. So I'm excited. Brooklyn is I tell you what, you got Kyrie. Kyrie's been out. You got Kyrie. They got a DeAndre Jordan. I mean, they got some players. So Brooklyn, watch out. They have been building that team for a while, but they look like they could potentially be the team to beat in the East. I'm excited what they may do. So
Rick, it's the more I look at it, I saw a college fight on TV during that bowl period. They have a different kind of athlete now. Mm-hmm. Every sport. Those are not the athletes of the 60s and the 70s and the very early 80s.
Yeah.
They're going to begin, and I don't wish bad luck, they call it in Georgia, put mouth on somebody.
Put mouth?
Mouth. That's what they call it.
Oh, mouth. Okay. I was like, man, I heard of that. No, I heard of that.
And they don't enunciate. They don't say mouth.
Yeah. Mouth. Yeah.
Rick, you're going to begin to say things that have never been seen in athletics. That fight that college fight, I've never seen a college fight go to that extreme.
Yeah.
Man. And the attitude of these guys and maybe with the major changes up top in the country, some of these things are going to change. But I want to see it play itself out. I want to see this year play itself out without any ugly incidents in football, basketball, baseball, track, and soccer.
Yeah, I hear you. And when we're showing those highlights again, look at that pass behind the back. Jeff Green hits a three. I mean, Harden just is an incredible athlete. And man. And he gets it done. But I mean, he's an all-around player. He can rebound, great passer, and he's happy now. So we'll see how long that lasts. But I tell you what, I think Brooklyn's a team to beat. So NBA, obviously as the NFL kind of starts winding down. Before we talk about these divisional games that happen Saturday and Sunday, Edwin, I just wanted there's a video surfacing of you working this guy out. and I don't know if we can show that for just a minute, but all kidding aside, okay. So and we may have to fast forward just a little bit into thanks, Daniel. Kind of go into we can see a little bit of this when Edwin starts talking, then fast forward back to where you have Edwin out there. So Edwin, talk a little bit about this and some of the things that you do working out. This was an NFL prospect, young man out of Notre Dame.
Yes, and at this point in time, I was not scouted at this time. You know, I think I might have been working in the XFL in New York. Yeah. And but when agents get certain kind of guys and they want them to get certain kind of techniques worked on, you know, hey, they called me up, they made me an offer, pretty much an offer I couldn't refuse. Yeah, yeah. And they wanted me to go and just work on him with his technique. The kid was accepting. The kid had some great intangibles. Hey, I enjoyed working, and it wasn't rough. I think I met him in North Carolina or Virginia, someplace. Yeah. You know, but it was a great workout. Uh-huh. Yeah. It's just, it was fun watching this because, I mean, some of the things that you have talked about that you learned, I'm going to ask you to kind of repeat those real quickly and then we'll go on. But you talked about certain things that you learned in high school from your high school coaches, basic fundamentals that carried you on to South Carolina State and into the NFL. And as I saw some of this workout, I started thinking about those things. And you said, man, everyone's talked about those. And I see what you were talking about. Well, hey, Rick, my high school coach, Joe Turner, was an outstanding coach, man. And his fundamentals for run blocking was before their time. Short steps, base and balance, fit on the hit, finish all blocks. You know, and he had such a routine and such a repetition that it sticks. Yeah, you know? Yeah. And everything I did, and when I got to college, they wanted to know, well, why are you stepping in that direction? Well, why are you doing this? I told them, I don't know. My coach told me to do it this way. You know, I'm coachable. You know, when he told me to do it this way, this is what I do. And it took off at State. You know, I found out I got myself in the best condition. I developed some functional strength, and I became a pretty good run blocker. Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, I was watching this drill, and you were talking about return to center, get back to center. You know, and it just again reminded me of some of the stuff that you talked about that you have learned. And also, real quickly, I want to say before we go on to look at some of the playoff games over the weekend, just a big congratulations to Rainier Avenue Radio's Juan Cotto. Juan is going to be joining the staff at Rainier Beach as the offensive line coach. So I actually, as you know, Edwin, I sent him this video and I said, hey, man, you got to connect with Edwin, have Edwin come out. You're early on, likely, you know, WIA. Hopefully, we'll get sports going back in the spring here, and you know, looks like maybe football, basketball, soccer. I mean, everything's gonna be in the spring. Yes. But if they are able to get back and just to get out and help those young men, because I mean, I go back to Edwin. You have talked about so much of how these fundamentals that you learned in high school carried you all the way through the pros. And if we can share that with these kids now and give them that advantage, give them that head start. And so I told Juan, I said, hey, give Edwin a call, get him out there. And, you know, we can't I don't think there's a few $100 an hour salary there, but, hey, you know, the thing of it is that I worked this kid here out, and I think this kid was in the league, you know, for a year or two. Yeah. Some of the other ones, Frank Kears, you know, I coached him in high school, put him through these same drills. He got in about 6 or 7 years in the National Football League. Ernest Green went to a Super Bowl and played down in San Diego. Big Zeus, Orlando Brown, senior, not junior, but a senior. You know, while I was at South Carolina State finishing up my degree, I worked him through these same drills. And Orlando Brown became a dominant offensive lineman in the league. So these drills are relevant, man. You know, and I don't play around. I ain't got time to play no games. If you want to do it, let's do it. I'll give you an hour, 45 minutes. We get the work in, get it over with, so I can go on about my business. So I get a little sweat going too. Yeah, I hear you. Well, this is Chris Stewart out of Notre Dame. And, you know, what was interesting is I did a little bit of research on him. And we talked about this off air, but he was in law school, you know, going to be an attorney as well, you know, at the same time. So obviously, really intelligent young man. But it was just cool seeing you out there, seeing you do your thing. That's what I do, Rick. Yes, sir. That's what I do.
Yes, sir.
Look at that balance on him. Look at
that. Yeah. But you had to work it. And look at you just sitting there checking it out.
Well, when I was sitting there, Rick, all I'm doing is just watching his feet.
Yeah.
I'm not watching anything else because them steps. That
watching that footwork. Huh? Yeah. Absolutely. Well, with that, man, let's shift gears. We've got about 15 or so minutes, and man, you talk about an incredible weekend. We didn't do any predictions. We can do at the end here. Let's kind of predict who we think as we go into the conference championships are going to win. But that first game, the Packers and the Rams. And, Edwin, as I sat there and watched, and here we'll see some of the highlights of the game as we're talking about it. One of the things I thought as I looked at this is that both quarterbacks, especially Aaron Rodgers, he had time to do what he needed to do. And I thought about the Seahawks, and in the first two meetings, the regular season meetings against the Rams, Russell Wilson was sacked 11 and a half times. And I think it was another 5 times in the playoff game. And, and the reason I want to show that video of you with the footwork is talk about, the fact that the Seahawks are going to have to make some improvements there on that offensive line. You've got to give Russell Wilson some time. You got to give a guy like a Chris Carson. And we've talked about this before. They do running back by committee here in Seattle, but obviously Pete wants to establish that running game. But man, it was just a little bit frustrating because these guys, they had time. And Russell Wilson, even without time, even with he's running for his life, Russell Wilson's still one of the more productive quarterbacks in the league. I mean, what happened if you give him some time, man?
Yeah, he can get it done. But hey, Rick, it's that technique, man. You got to get out there and you got to do it. You got to be repetitive. It's got to go on. You got to get up and do it when you don't want to do it. You got to get up at early in the morning. They always gave me a hard time in Savannah, Georgia, about being out there working out and running at 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I said, man, what are you doing out here? I said, well, this is about the time we'll be playing in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
And they're, oh man, but it's hot. Well, it's gonna be hot in Seattle.
Yeah.
It's gonna be hot in San Diego. It's gonna be hot in LA. But you got to get out here and get the work in. And I tried to be diligent because again, I just wanted to be considered as a ball player that you could depend on.
Yeah. And when you said something that's important, and I think back to a conversation I had with Ray Allen when I was working with the Sonics, and he talked about in practice, he said, Rick, you got to take game shots. That's what you have to work on every time. And what he meant by that, and he kind of explained it, he said, you don't want to spend time doing other stuff. Now we're looking at highlights from that Bills win. We'll talk about Buffalo in a minute. But he said, you've got to be focused on what you're actually going to do in the game time. He pointed out a rookie that was taking half-court shots and what have you, and the next day the rookie got cut. But Ray Allen was known for it. He would get to the arena a couple hours before everybody else, and a ball boy would be there, and he'd get up a few hundred shots. And everything he did was predicated on what he was going to do game time. And that's what I hear you saying is so important for young players, young athletes to understand. So obviously, I'm sorry. I thought we had switched to the Buffalo game. We're still on the Packer game here. Yeah, my bad. But yeah, so the Packers, real quickly. I look at the number. We're not at big numbers. We don't look at numbers a whole lot on the show. But Packers went for 400 against that Ram defense that just bottled up the Seahawks. Packers are at a different level. 484 yards total offense, 296 through the air, 188 on the ground. But here, Edwin, I look at this third down efficiency, 8 for 12.
Wow, can't beat that.
Man, that's
beat that, Rick.
Yeah,
and the Packers quarterback ain't bad now.
No, he might get MVP this year.
Hey,
yeah. Might get MVP this year.
I grew up being a Bart Starr fan. Bart Starr, Ray Niskey, Willie Woods, Willie Davis. I was a Green Bay Packer guy.
Yeah,
but the Packers got a pretty good squad. They kind of take it serious. I love to hear their quarterback talk about his teammates and what they give him to work with.
Yeah.
And so it's easy for him to take advantage of these situations.
Yeah, absolutely. Going back to, and that was a great play there by Aaron Rodgers. Going back to that Buffalo game. And so we were seeing the highlights, and Buffalo scored, and, Buffalo went up by a touchdown. So the first half was close, not a lot of scoring. And the Ravens, so that the touchdown pass we'll see in a minute to Stephon Diggs, kind of a little screen. The Ravens came back, Edwin, and drove all the way down. And Lamar Jackson, first time in his career, threw a red zone interception. And that really, you don't want to say it's down to one play, but that killed. So you see here with third quarter, tied 3-3, Buffalo goes in and scores. And then on the ensuing drive, the Ravens were driving. The Ravens were driving, and for those people that say Lamar Jackson cannot throw the ball, I'm sorry. I mean, he's got a good arm, and he's continuing to get better. But that right there, he is such a threat. But here's in the red zone and try to fire it in there. Boom, it's picked off. But not only is it picked off, man, we're talking pick sticks, 101 yards, and that was a backbreaker.
And look at Lamar try to go and make that.
Yeah.
Time. Well, you know what, Rick, I'm sick of these negative comments about certain kind of quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Lamar is a hell of a quarterback. This is the Super Bowl. These are the games for the Super Bowl now.
Yeah.
He's in the hunt again.
Again.
So,
yeah.
I mean, if, you might not like it, and my answer to that is so what?
Yeah. Well, he set a new standard, different kind of quarterback, in the NFL and what they're looking for. And just again, going to numbers, the Ravens defense held Buffalo to 220 yards total, 188 in the air, 32 on the ground, whereas the Ravens had 340. But again, you got to get some points on the board, so they lose it 17-3. And that was the difference. Again, it was 10-3. They were getting ready to score, and then they give up that pick six. Now we'll go to the other AFC game. And I will say congratulations to Buffalo, because that town needs it, and I know they are excited. Edwin, I don't know about you, man, but I was incredibly impressed and have been all season with the Cleveland Browns and with Baker Mayfield. And they gave the Chiefs a run for their money.
Hey, I looked at Baker Mayfield for the first time. The kid has a live arm. He's got a great attitude. Mm-hmm. He thinks that he's very, very good. Then he goes out there and he shows, Yeah. I think that the Cleveland Browns are going to get to some points that they've never gotten to in the past, even with a Bernie Kosar, who came there and slung that ball around. And I really thought that they were going to do some damage. But I think this kid is going to be a productive quarterback. Yeah.
Cleveland, I'm partial to the Browns. I mean, number one, you and I have talked about this, and Jim Brown, number one. My dad used to tell me stories about Jim Brown and just how incredible he was. And then one of my favorites, and a local guy, Eric Metcalf, who had a great career in the NFL and a lot of it with the Browns. But yeah, it's great to see the Browns back up winning and in the playoffs. And they gave the Chiefs a run for their money. Now, here's the big question, though, is that Patrick Mahomes went out with a concussion, and he's in the concussion protocol. And right now, that's all they're saying. I mean, he's got 6 days. Will he be ready for the AFC Championship game? That's a question mark, Edwin. That's a big question mark.
I looked at the quarterback they put in there, man. He came in there and he held the boat in the water.
He did. Yes, sir.
He came in there and he did everything he needed to do to keep them which is a feather in their cap that they have a quality backup quarterback.
Yeah.
I really, really like this kid in Kansas City, man. I want this kid to win as many Super Bowls as he can possibly win. Because, he's just a quality quarterback. And this guy, he doesn't have a live arm. I have to give his arm another one. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, did you see after the first touchdown pass, he threw it up, I think they said the third level, way up to the stand.
Upper deck.
Yeah.
If I was the owner, the coach, I'd threaten him with firing him. Because if you throw your arm out doing something like that, I'm gonna cut you.
Yeah.
I'll bring you back, but I gotta cut you.
Yes, sir. Rico Brown was he listened and said, "Rest in peace, Eric Turner, one of the best safeties to play the game." And the Browns lost. And you remember Don Rogers, Reggie Rogers, from the UW, and then Don and then Reggie. I knew Reggie well. Reggie also left us way before his time. He should have, but Don Rogers, I remember, out of UCLA, and then
he was a big, man. a bigger version of Kenny Easley.
Yeah, and that was sad, man. What happened to him? But yeah, so again, the Browns, I I think the Browns are going to be a team to be reckoned with for some time now. The Chiefs, we will see. We'll talk about in a minute here. We got about 6 minutes left. Let's go to the Tampa Bay New Orleans Saints highlights. And I tell you what, Edwin, I was shocked, man. I shouldn't say shocked. Tampa Bay has played well. And again, whenever you got a guy by the name of Brady at quarterback, I don't care if he's 43, he knows how to get it done. He knows how to win.
Hey, Rick, I am very proud to say that I was a part of the scouting staff that drafted him to the New England Patriots.
Man,
and that's the only reason why the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is relevant right now. This guy brings a whole different set of circumstances to a good Buccaneers team.
Yeah,
he coming to the Buccaneers team has made them championship worthy. I'm gonna go out as much as I love Kansas City, as much as I love Baltimore Ravens, if the Buccaneers win, it's a feather in my cap because we scouted that guy. We drafted him in the National Football League.
Yeah.
But Brady is phenomenal, man.
Well, and for him to still be as relevant, man, as yesterday, 18 of 33, 199 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And the previous games, they had lost the 2 regular season games against New Orleans, and they put a lot of pressure on him, and credit to their offensive line and the scheme. Did a lot better job protecting him, and they were able to come away with the win. And they held New Orleans now, that offense, to 294 total yards, 190 in the air, 104 on the ground, and just played a tremendous game. So, Edwin, real quickly, because I want to spend just about 1 minute. Let's do some predictions, and then I want to spend the last couple of minutes talking about the Seahawks and the fact that Schottenheimer's gone and looking at new candidates to come in as offensive coordinator. I think going to be a key. But real quickly, let's talk about these NFL playoff games. So the AFC Championship game, you got the Chiefs and the Bills. Who are you picking? What's your call?
Hey, I'm going with the Chiefs, man. I'm an AFC West guy.
Yes,
I love their quarterback. I love their offense. I love what they do and how they do it. I think their head coach is innovative. I think when it's all said and done, he's going to be mentioned with Lombardi, the Patriots head coach.
Belichick, Parcells. You got people.
Girl!
My
daughter was walking, scared me to death.
What's going on there?
Oh, she's gonna walk in here, creeping in here, smiling. You better be glad I love her. I'd hit her with a brick. but Rick, it's I think I'm going with Kansas City the whole way. The only way I would go against Kansas City
if Mahomes is out.
If Mahomes is out and they were playing the Ravens.
Okay. So even if Mahomes is not playing, you're still going with the Chiefs.
I'm going with the Chiefs. The Chiefs got some receivers, Rick. You just can't cover.
Come on. Yeah. No, that's a good point. I definitely, if Mahomes is there, I'm definitely saying the Chiefs, but I would love to see Buffalo. It's kind of like back, after Hurricane Katrina, when New Orleans, the Saints won it. I mean, it just did so much for that city. Yeah. I would love to see the Bills do that. But yeah, I think with a healthy Patrick Mahomes, if he's in the lineup, Kansas City is going to be tough to beat. Okay, about a minute, and then we only got a couple minutes here left. On the NFC, the Battle of the Bays, Green Bay and Tampa Bay.
I'm a Buccaneer guy. I'm a Buccaneer guy because I drafted their quarterback.
Yeah.
But all my life, I pulled for the Green Bay Packers, man. My sister turned me on to a Packer fan. Here's a young lady from the South, and her favorite football player was Ray Nitschke.
Oh, man.
I'm like, well, I asked my mom and dad, where in the hell did they find my sister?
Yeah.
But she turned me on to the Packers, and I've been a Packer fan all my life.
Yeah. I just, Aaron Rodgers is just so good, and they just have so many weapons, and they figure out a way to get it done. So my pick is Green Bay. Real quickly, we got about a minute and a half left. So the Seahawks, looking at ESPN, John Clayton was talking about kind of a big break that Doug Peterson fired by the Philadelphia Eagles, and Seahawks have reached out to him already. And according to Clayton, JC, the professor, he thinks that Peterson could be the best hire for Pete Carroll. Now, some of the other names that are out there, that possibly Seahawks are looking at, you've got Dave Canales as a candidate, but also and a couple guys I like. You got Adam Gase, Anthony Lynn, the former Charger coach, Pep Hamilton. So there's some people out there, but I think the biggest names being probably Doug Peterson and Anthony Lynn. We got about a minute left. Any thoughts you have on what the Seahawks need to do as far as the offensive coordinator?
They need to get them in. They need to find one, get him in here soon, and sit him down with that quarterback. It's not like you don't have a quality quarterback to work with. So the quicker you get them in here, the quicker they can get on the same page, the quicker they can start talking the same talk.
Yeah. And Edwin, I think, and we'll talk more about this next week. I think you and I mentioned this. The Seahawks, in my opinion, top two priorities in the draft got to be offensive line, defensive line. And we'll talk about that a little bit, but let's talk more about that next week. We are out of time. He's Edwin Bailey. I'm Dupe. Following us immediately. Don't turn the dial. Don't turn the laptop off, whatever the case may be, because Lidline is next. And that is right here on Rainier Avenue Radio. Until next week, for Edwin Bailey, for Daniel B., I'm Dupe. Peace. And
hey, happy MLK Day.
Yes.
For all in love. You got to tell Tony people